Students, how are you all? I hope you all are fit and taking a good care of your health. So this video is for the students of class 9th, subject science, chapter number 4, that is structure of an atom. This is your lecture number 3. Students, topics to be discussed in this lecture are discovery of neutron. After that, we shall discuss the comparison between electron, proton and neutron. And lastly, I shall take how the electrons are distributed in the orbits or the shells. So let's start with today's lecture. Students, in the previous lectures, we discussed about discovery of electron and proton. Now, after the Bohr's model was discovered, there was a discovery of another subatomic particle that is called as neutron. Okay? This neutron, the subatomic particle of an atom, it was discovered by a scientist named as J. Chadwick. Okay, J. Chadwick discovered neutron. This neutron, it has no charge. Okay, and it is represented by small n. The mass of the neutron, it is equal to mass of that of proton. Okay, the mass of neutron and proton, they are equal. So this was about the discovery of neutrons. This neutron, it is present in the nucleus of all the atoms except hydrogen. In hydrogen atom, neutron is not present. We shall discuss in detail later on. So this was about the discovery of neutron. So what are the three subatomic particles of an atom? The three subatomic particles of an atom are electron, represented by E, proton, represented by P, and neutron, represented by N. Now, I shall discuss the comparison between these three subatomic particles. What are the differences we can say? Okay. Electron, proton, neutron. First is discovery. Electron was discovered by J.J. Thomson. Proton was discovered by E. Goldstein. And neutron was discovered by J. Chadwick. Coming to next property, symbol. The symbol of electron is E or E negative. The symbol of proton is P or P positive. And the symbol of neutron is N. It has no charge, so it is simply written as N. Third property, nature. Means what the nature is. Electron is negatively charged. That's why I have written E negative. Proton is positively charged, P positive. And neutron is neutral. Means it does not bear any charge. There is no charge. So that's why I have written N. So what we can say the next property as relative charge. Electron, unit negative means -1. Proton, unit positive +1. And neutron, no charge, so 0. Now, next property is absolute charge. This was relative charge. Now coming to absolute charge. Electron has charge minus 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Okay, what is the SI unit of charge? It is written as coulomb. Capital C. Proton, the absolute charge is plus 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. The charges are same. There is only difference in the sign. And neutron, it has no charge. That is clear. Coming to next property, mass in kg. Electron has mass 9.11 into 10 to the power minus 31 kg. Proton has mass 1.672 into 10 to the power minus 27 kg. And neutron has mass 1.675 into 10 to the power minus 27 kg. Okay, I told you right now that the mass of neutron is equal to mass of proton. So you can see here the mass of neutron and mass of proton, they are equal. Just there is difference, minute difference 2 and 5. Otherwise they are almost equal. Clear, students? So this was about the comparison between electron, proton and neutron. There is one more difference about the location, means where these subatomic particles are found. Electron is found around the nucleus. Okay, electron revolves around the nucleus. Proton, it is present in the nucleus, inside the nucleus. And neutron is also present inside the nucleus. Proton and neutron, they are present inside, and electron revolves outside the nucleus. Clear? So you can make this table in your notebook also. So you see here this diagram. This is the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, which subatomic particles are present? I told you right now, proton and neutron. So that's why I have written proton P plus neutron N. They are present inside the nucleus. And outside the nucleus, there are shells, orbits, or the energy levels. We can say one and the same thing. In these orbits, the electrons revolve. E negative means electron. So proton and neutron inside the nucleus and electron outside the nucleus. So are you clear about the location now? So what we can say, what is the mass of an atom? I told in the previous lecture that the mass of an atom, it resides inside the nucleus. So what is the mass? Sum of mass of proton plus mass of neutron. That is the mass of atom. So mass of an atom is given by sum of the masses of protons and neutrons present in the nucleus. Okay. Suppose there are 2 protons and there are 3 neutrons. So total gives 5. So the mass of an atom is 5 U. Unit is U. Okay. I gave you one table also. The atomic masses of elements from atomic number 1 to 20. So those atomic masses, it is basically this mass. Mass of proton plus mass of neutron. That's why I have written U. U is a unit of mass, atomic mass. or mass of an atom. One and the same thing. Clear, students? Now, moving ahead to our next topic, that is, how are electrons distributed in the different orbits or shells? Means, how the electrons are distributed. We will study about the distribution of the electrons in the various shells, orbits or energy levels. The distribution of electrons into the different orbits of an atom, it was suggested by Bohr and Bury. These were the two scientists who gave how the electrons are distributed in the different orbits. Okay, so that's why we can also say Bohr and Bury scheme of electron distribution, because it was given by Bohr and Bury. Now, there are some rules which are followed for writing the number of electrons in the different orbits. Okay, so what are those rules given by Bohr and Bury? The first rule is the maximum number of electrons present in a shell is given by the formula 2n square, where this n represents the orbit number or the energy level. Okay, whether the n is 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Means first shell, second shell, third shell, fourth shell. So, this is the formula for calculating the number of electrons in a given shell. First shell is K. In Bohr's model we studied now. First is K, then L, then M, then N. So, first shell is K. Now, what is the N for first shell? It is 1. So, 2 into 1 square. Because N is 1. First shell. First means 1. So, it will be 2. Means in first shell, only 2 electrons can be present maximum. Okay. Coming to second shell, what was the name given to second shell? It is L. So 2 into what is N? N is 2. So it will be 2 into 4. It means 8. Second shell, that is L. It can accommodate a maximum of 8 electrons. Coming to third shell is M. Okay, so what is the N here? It is 3. So 2 into 3 square. That will be 3 3s are 9. So 2 9s are 18. In the third shell, a maximum of 18 electrons can be present. Coming to fourth shell, the fourth shell was KLM, so it is N. So 2 into N is 4. So 2 into 4 square means 2 into 4 4s are 16. So 2 into 16, that is 32. Okay. In the first shell, 2 electrons. In second shell, 8. In third shell, 18. In fourth shell, 32 electrons can be present maximum. That was the first rule in Bohr-Bury scheme. Now coming to second rule. Second rule is the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in the outermost orbit is 8. Okay. Suppose this is nucleus. This is first shell, this is second shell. So in the outermost shell, what is the outermost shell? It is this second shell. Okay, so this second shell can accommodate a maximum of 8 electrons. Okay, coming to third rule. Third rule is the electrons are not accommodated in a given shell unless the inner shells are filled. That is, the shells are filled in a stepwise manner. Okay, it does not mean you are filling the second shell first, then you are filling the first shell. No. The shells will be filled in a stepwise manner. Means the first shell will be filled, then second shell will be filled, then third, then fourth. Okay. The inner shells are filled first. Then we will come to outer shell. So these are the 3 rules in Bohr-Bury scheme for the distribution of electrons. Clear, students? You people will be more clear if we practice some of the examples. Before taking examples, let us take another topic, that is valency. What is valency? You studied in the previous chapter also. It is the combining capacity of an atom. That is valency. And when the atom is stable? An atom is stable if it has doublet or octet configuration. Doublet means 2. Octet means 8. Okay. Configuration means filling of electrons. If it has doublet or octet configuration, the atom is stable. Okay, this doublet or octet configuration, it is also called as noble gas configuration. You people will be more clear with the help of examples. Let us take example. Suppose I take helium. What is the atomic number of helium? It is 2. The atomic number of helium is 2. So let us start filling the electrons. How many electrons will be filled? 2. In first shell, how many electrons can be held? It is given by 2n square rule. So 2 into n is 1, first shell. So it will be 2. So in the first shell, a maximum of 2 electrons can be filled. So there are only 2 electrons we need to fill. So we have filled, this is first electron, this is second electron. Okay. 2 electrons filled. So how many electrons are present in the outermost shell? Outermost. This is the nucleus. Only one shell is there. So this is the outermost shell. So electrons are 2. And 2 is doublet. It means this atom is stable because it has doublet configuration. Coming to the next example, that is neon. Neon atomic number is 10. Okay. In the first shell, how many electrons can be filled? 2. In the second shell, how many electrons can be filled? By 2n square you can calculate, it will be 8. In the first shell 2, in the second shell 8. Okay, so start filling. First shell 2 electrons. Second shell 8 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 in the first shell, in the second shell 8 electrons. So 2 plus 8. It is 10. So we have filled 10 electrons. Okay. And in the outermost shell, how many electrons are there? 8. In the outermost shell, 8 electrons are there. So this is octet configuration. 8 electrons in the outermost shell. So this atom is stable. Okay. And how to write the electronic configuration, बच्चे? Only 2 electrons filled in the first shell. So electronic configuration is written as, for helium atom 2 electrons filled, so 2 in the first shell. Now neon 2 electrons in the first shell, 2 comma, how many electrons in second shell? 8. So 2 comma 8. This is how to write electronic configuration. 2 in the first shell, then 8 electrons in the second shell, and the outermost orbit, it is octet. So it is stable. The atom is stable. Just remember one thing, students. Only in case of helium, the outermost shell have 2 electrons. And for other cases, there should be 8 electrons in the outermost shell. Okay? In case of helium, it is only doublet configuration, but for others, it will be octet configuration. Then the atom is stable. Let us take another example. Argon. The atomic number of argon is 18. In the first shell, how many electrons can be filled? 2. In the second shell, how many electrons can be filled? 8. In the third shell, how many electrons can be filled? Calculate by 2n square rule. 2, n is 3, third shell, square. So 2 into 9, 18. In the third shell, 18 electrons can be filled. So let's start filling. First is 2 electrons, 2 filled. Second shell is 8 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have filled 2 electrons in first shell, 8 electrons in second shell. 2 plus 8, 10. How many electrons are left for 18? It will be 8 electrons left. So 8 electrons in the last shell. Because the third shell can accommodate 18 electrons. So you can fill 8 electrons easily. Okay? First shell 2, second 8, third also 8. So 2 plus 8, 10, 10 plus 8, 18. 18 electrons are filled. Just apply 2n square rule simply. Now in the outermost orbit, how many electrons are present? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or you can see the electronic configuration also you have written 8. 8 electrons are present in outermost orbit, means it is octet. So the atom is stable. Okay, actually these are noble gases. So they are stable. So are you clear with this? An atom is stable if the outermost shell is octet, means 8 electrons. And in case of helium, it should be doublet, 2 electrons. Clear, students? So what are the valence electrons? There is an important term, valence electrons. So what are valence electrons? Electrons present in outermost shell of an atom. Okay, electrons present in outermost shell. In helium, how many electrons are present in outermost shell? 2. So valence electrons are 2 in case of helium. For neon, how many electrons are present in outermost shell? It is 8. So valence electrons are 8 in case of neon. Argon, how many electrons are present in outermost shell? 8. Okay. So the valence electrons in case of argon is also 8. So what are valence electrons? Electrons present in outermost shell. Clear, students? So students, tomorrow I will tell you how to calculate the valency of a given element. Okay, we will take various examples tomorrow. That's it for today's lecture. So what is your homework? You will solve question number 1 and 2 given on page number 49 plus question number 1 and 2 given on page number 50 These 4 are in-text questions. Along with the in-text questions, you will solve exercise question number 1 and 6 of chapter number 4, Structure of Atom, NCERT textbook. Clear, students? Now, I shall discuss the homework solutions of lecture number 2. Question number 1 was, on the basis of Thomson's model of an atom, explain how the atom is neutral as a whole. Answer: the atom is neutral because equal number of electrons and positively charged particles are embedded together. Okay? This is answer number 1. Students, keep one thing in mind. Do not write protons. Why? Because Thomson's model did not discover protons. Okay? He only observed electrons and positively charged particles. It was not named protons. It was named by Rutherford. So do not write protons. Write positively charged particles. Clear? Question number 2 was, on the basis of Rutherford's model of an atom, which subatomic particle is present in the nucleus of an atom? So according to Rutherford, proton is present in the nucleus of an atom. Okay? It was seen by Rutherford. That's why I said do not write proton in Thomson's model. Moving ahead to question number 3. Draw a sketch of Bohr's model of an atom with 3 shells. So this is the answer. You will draw nucleus, then first shell, that is K, second shell, that is L, third shell, that is M. So first, second, third, K, L, M. These are called as energy levels or shells, and this is nucleus. Okay? So this is question number 3. Coming to question number 4. What do you think would be the observation if the alpha scattering experiment is carried out using a foil of a metal other than gold? Okay, Rutherford used gold foil. So the question is saying what will happen if any other metal is taken other than gold? So the answer is the gold atom have high density, or we can say maximum mass. But if any other metal is used in the foil except gold, then what will happen? The alpha particles may not be able to penetrate through those thicker foils. Okay, the alpha particles, they will not be able to penetrate through those thick foils. So this is question number 4th answer. Coming to exercise question number 1. What are the limitations of Rutherford's model of an atom? Limitation means drawbacks. So what is the limitation? Any particle in circular orbit would undergo acceleration, and during acceleration, the charged particle, it would release or radiate energy. So the revolving electron will lose energy and finally fall into the nucleus. It means atom is unstable, but the atoms are stable. So Rutherford said that it could not explain the stability of an atom. This is the limitation. Coming to next question, describe the Bohr's model of an atom. So you will write the 2 postulates of Bohr's model, and along with it you will draw the diagram. What are the postulates? Certain spatial orbits are allowed inside the atom, which are called as discrete orbits of electrons. And second is, while revolving in these discrete orbits, the electrons do not radiate, do not release energy. And you can draw the same diagram that I told you right now. Nucleus, then show the shells K, L, M, N, so on. These are energy levels of shells. So that's it for today's lecture.